Historically, it's safe to say that certain species of salmon have found themselves at the very pinnacle of many anglers' list of desired fish to catch on a fly rod. And so it stands to reason that there are countless books that have been written about the pursuit, about the challenge, even the aesthetics of fly fishing for salmon. Today's book that we're talking about is going to be a little bit different. It's more of a celebration of the fish and an exploration about our relationship to them. We'll talk about that today on Casting Across. Hi, I'm Matthew of castingacross.com, where I explore the quarry and culture of fly fishing. Back in 2020, I was living in a northeastern city in Massachusetts, and the Merrimack River flowed through this city on its way to the Atlantic Ocean. Where it meets up with the ocean, it's a wide, raging torrent. But as you follow it back to the west, and then it kind of doglegs to the north into New Hampshire, and follow it up to the western slope of the White Mountains, it's a small creek. The feeder creek that flows into it's small brook trout streams. But through some historical research and time up there, I found out that these were some of the northernmost places that salmon would go from the Merrimack up to their historical spawning grounds. And this topic, this conversation, was the first thing that I talked to author Mark Kurlansky about in 2020 when his book Salmon was released. It's called Salmon, A Fish, the Earth, and the History of Their Common Fate. Now, this is a really interesting book because, like I said, it's not a fishing book. It's certainly not a fly fishing book, although recreational angling is a part of the story. What this book does is it goes back in time to explore not only kind of the biology and the environmental aspects of what salmon are and what they have been, but more integrally, how we have been a part of that story, about how wherever salmon have been, we've found our way there to use them as an important resource. And of course, it gets to the point where this has gone off the rails. And as you are probably well aware, salmon have been some of the most compromised species globally because of overfishing, as well as the construction of impoundments, of dams that stop their upstream progress and inhibit their ability to spawn. And those are pretty common sense things. And that's one of the things I appreciate about salmon is that it really doesn't echo a party line. It shows kind of the bilateral perspective on the conservation of salmon and the rivers that they occupy. Because if you have an unhealthy water body, you have an unhealthy population around it. So whether you are right, left, or center, there's a very good chance that you want to see salmon thrive. And so there's some really interesting things that you will find in this book. So for example, Kurlansky outlines how so many of the kind of global negative practices that you see when it comes to salmon and their waterways goes back to the fact that a lot of the industrial towns, specifically in a place like here in New England, were modeled after industrial riverside towns in Old England. And so the negative things that were happening there weren't picked up on until it was too late here, as well as other places that the British Empire reached. And so we have the same problem here that we have all over the world, wherever salmon can be found. But it's more than that. It's not just the negative stuff, it's the positive relationships that we have had. How salmon are icons of cultures that have lived amongst them for generations and generations. It's how salmon have an impact on people even who are not coastal because of the development of technologies like canning and cold shipping. So you can be in the middle of the United States and you can enjoy salmon as well. It also talks about one of the things that I think we should all be on board with, which is how bad commercial salmon farming is. I am all for the recreational fishing of salmon. I'm all for the consumption of salmon. But salmon farming is about one of the most negative things that can happen to an environment, something that people really on all sides of the political aisle agree is not well regulated and is not a good thing, not only for those fish, but also for the wild salmon stocks and for the cleanliness and quality of life in our oceans. So he talks about that. And he talks about things that we've lost, certain species and runs that probably aren't going to come back, and the interesting historical notes and things we can learn from that, as well as some recovery projects that we've seen success with and the hope that comes through that, how that has impacted entire ecosystems, how that has impacted human populations. And so, again, not a purely fishing, certainly fly fishing book, but it's the kind of thing that you will enjoy if you like salmon, to eat, to fish for. Even if you like them as this goal, this bucket list fish, it's worth reading. If you like anthropology, if you like culture, if you like environmentalism, if you like conservation, then this is a wonderful book to pick up. It's put out by Patagonia Publishing, and they do a fantastic job. I have probably everything that they've put out in the last 5 or 6 years. Their packaging is always fantastic. They are not dust jacket people. Take that for what you will. Always wonderful photography and very, very well put together package of a book. So I'm a big fan of what the quality physically of what Patagonia puts out. So definitely check out this book. Check out Kurlansky's other work. He's got a work on cod. That is a real good book. That was actually how I first became familiar with him, long before we spoke and before I picked up salmon. I'll let you know where you can buy this book down in the description below. If you want more information on this book or others, then head over to castingacross.com, where there's 3 posts a week, the people, places, and things that go into the pursuit of fish.